Welcome back to the Daily Poem here on the Close Reads Podcast Network. I'm David Kern. Today's poem is by Wendell Berry. I've read from him a couple times here on the show. Many of you probably know that I'm a big fan of his poetry. He was born in 1934. He is a Kentucky novelist, poet, essayist, environmental activist, culture critic, farmer. And the poem that I'm going to read today was recommended by a listener on Facebook. It's called The Vacation, and it seems, given the time of year, the appropriate time to go ahead and read it. This is how it goes. This is Wendell Berry's The Vacation. Once there was a man who filmed his vacation. He went flying down the river in his boat with his video camera to his eye, making a moving picture of the moving river upon which his sleek boat moved swiftly toward the end of his vacation. He showed his vacation to his camera, which pictured it, preserving it forever. The river, the trees, the sky, the light, the bow of his rushing boat behind which he stood with his camera, preserving his vacation even as he was having it, so that after he had had it, he would still have it. It would be there. With a flick of a switch, it would be there. But he would not be in it. He would never be in it. I remember speaking with Wendell Berry once for an interview that we did that ended up in our magazine, Forma. And I remember him telling me a story like the story that shows up in this poem. He wrote about it in other places as well. He references it in his fiction, like in Jayber Crow, and in many of his essays. But here, we have this story of a man out on the river, enjoying the day, presumably. And Berry told me that over the years, he remembers seeing people out on the river that he lives nearby, that his house overlooks, actually. And he'd see them, he used to be that he'd see them enjoying themselves, taking in nature, paying very close attention to things. Now, when he sees people doing that, he sees them paying attention through their phones, through their video cameras. And he said that this concerns him because he's worried, and I don't want to put words into his mouth, but I think I'm going to go just on the poem here. I think what this poem is talking about is the idea of imagination atrophying. I think that what he would say is that while the camera is a wonderful thing for the purpose of preservation, and we know Berry is very concerned with preservation of cultures, preservation of people, practices, places, all those things are very important to him, the preservation of those things. And a camera can be a great tool in doing that, but it's also inherently necessarily limiting. And when we don't allow ourselves to be present in a moment, in a place, to take it in with the full scope of our ability to see, then our imagination becomes inherently limited as well. And that can lead to our imaginations atrophying. So I don't think he would say, don't take pictures of your vacations or don't take videos of your vacations. But I think he would say, understand the place of those things. I think he's saying that we need to understand that we have the capacity to see and experience things in a really remarkable way, in a poetic way, just by using our eyes. So that we need to be both present and be able to capture things. That when we take pictures, they preserve only a snapshot of something, not the whole thing. And if we're not fully present there in the thing, then our memory and our imagination will be incomplete. And thus our ability to truly preserve it for posterity and in our own souls will be incomplete as well. This is not a particularly formal poem per se, but there is a lot going on. I particularly enjoy the way the narrative builds up to this turn at the end, because throughout the poem, it has Berry's acerbic wit about it, because he's being a little bit biting, but he's also sort of enjoying himself while he's doing that. That's classic Berry in a lot of ways. And I love the line, he showed his vacation to the camera, which pictured it, because it's so much like when we try to tell a story of a vacation to someone else, or we try to show them our pictures. When we show someone pictures of a vacation, they're no more a part of it than the camera itself is, right? When you show someone just pictures of the time you went to the Eiffel Tower or Notre Dame or Yosemite or the White House or whatever it is, they weren't a part of it. They can say, oh, that's cool, that's neat, I'm so glad you got to see that. They can enjoy the pictures, but they're not truly a part of it. And their imaginations were not moved or transformed by being there. And in many ways, then, when we are so focused on taking the pictures, on just seeing what the lens presents, we almost put ourselves in the shoes of the person who we're showing the picture to. So, one more time, here is Wendell Berry's The Vacation. Once there was a man who filmed his vacation. He went flying down the river in his boat with his video camera to his eye, making a moving picture of the moving river upon which his sleek boat moved swiftly toward the end of his vacation. He showed his vacation to his camera, which pictured it, preserving it forever. The river, the trees, the sky, the light, the bow of his rushing boat behind which he stood with his camera, preserving his vacation even as he was having it, so that after he had had it, he would still have it. It would be there. With a flick of a switch, there it would be. But he would not be in it. He would never be in it. This has been the Daily Poem. Thanks so much for listening. I'll be back on Monday with another poem for you.